say under 18s coach for how long?
12 years.
12 years, right. Okay, so you tell me before how much it's changed since probably when you started to now. What were the things that you used to identify what players were talented or not?
Basically, it was just off my eye. So
Right.
I'd go and watch trainings and games, and then just work out who I think was a good footballer, and just work off the feel of the game. When you play for a long period of time, you actually get a strong understanding of when you look at a game, what you're looking for in terms of their traits. So that's predominantly how I used to pick a team.
Yeah, right. Okay, and then how did it change over the years?
The advent of sports science to a degree. We do a lot more physical testing, so so it's a combination of lots of things, so strength, power,
so
agility.
Right. Yeah, go on. So.
Yep, and then all of a sudden GPS data become big into the marketplace, and so we're able to work through GPS data and find out who's got the ability to play the game at the highest level.
Yeah. Did you use like those anthropometric and like maturity type of assessments, like height, weight?
Yeah, we'd go through that. We go through the whole what they call the AFL Draft Combine.
Yeah.
So we do that as for all 8 of our clubs from 16 years of age through. So we've got a fair backlog of data on that type of thing. So we try to marry that up with also what we see on the football field.
Yeah.
And I reckon you can't get away from what you see on the football field. So whatever they can do on the football field usually translates into game practice, and then you work on the finer details of have they got the speed to play in that position, have they got the endurance power to be able to run all day long.
Yeah, and then so what about like skills? Did you do like the handball and the kicking one that they do at the combine? Was that a measure?
You do the handball and kicking, but I don't think that's a measure personally. Champion Data stat all their games now.
Yeah.
So we're able to find out who's got efficient kicks.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of efficiency that we look at. So you, as a coach, you generally get a feel if someone's butchering the kick. He only has to do it a couple of times and they're not playing again.
So what about like, you look at the stats and like you look at the efficiency, but you've also got to go and watch it, because like for me, I was pretty efficient because I would just kick it long all the time. And that's counted as efficient, even if it goes to like a 50-50 or something like that. Didn't actually necessarily have to, your teammate didn't have to mark it or anything.
Then you actually got to work through game plans.
Yeah.
So does that suit the coach's game plan?
Yeah.
So the game has got a lot shorter now, so the kicks are a lot shorter. So we always look at short inside 45 kicks now. So turn, spin.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's to break the lines. It's to get over the press. So you actually turn, spin, you hit this short inside 45 kick. And if that one's able to release and go, you're over the back of the press and you're out the back.
Just talk it over the top, mate.
I'm a bit old school myself, so a lot of football these days not played to a contest anymore, so it's find the free. So you just got to find the free. So it's changed. The actual game and the style of game's changed.
So does that change how you then identify different players? Like, okay, we're not looking for that type of player now. We want someone who's good at short kicks and things like that. Or
look, kicking is the most important aspect of the game. It still is the most important. A couple of things I look for. First and foremost is the ability to take the ball cleanly. So if you can't take the ball cleanly, you're going to get mown down. You're out of you fumble. People go past the contest. So the ability to take the ball cleanly is paramount.
And you would test that or measure that just by looking at it. Really, in game training?
Yeah, training and games. You measure that in games and training, whether they can take the ball cleanly. So if they can take the ball cleanly, they're half a chance. So if they can take the ball cleanly, they don't have to be super quick. Because they make up for their quickness and their ability to take the ball cleanly. The other things that we look at is it's hard to measure is a competitive spirit. Someone that's got a genuine competitive spirit about them and will to win the contest is another aspect, and that's a real hard measurable.
Yeah, okay. And so that's kind of my next one, like the psychosocial attributes. So like, do you look at like their personality? Did you have any like psychological tests or things like that, or did you look at like their background, their family like their family situation, their support that they get from family, or
We
how deep?
we don't delve that deep at the
Yeah.
state level.
Yeah.
At the next level, when they go into the national and the AFL, they do psychometric testing. They
Yeah.
do a lot of that type of stuff to give them a background of,
Yeah.
of one, what their learning capacity is and what style of learning they do, and also to find out a little bit about the character of the person themselves.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they do dive into that. We don't get access to any of that data.
Yeah.
We build up a relationship from a 15, 16 years of age through. So by the time they actually come into the under 18 program, they actually got a fair
Idea.
understanding of what they are,
Yeah.
the type of person they are, and the type of background and the type of family they come from. And as you know, they come from all walks of life.
Right.
They come from anything from the eastern suburbs
Yeah.
to the lower socio-economic situation. So
Yeah. So yeah, any specific talent identification tools that you'd use, or is it just basically off those tests and kind of a bit of like just visualizing, like watching them?
Yeah, basically it is the watching. It's
Yeah.
a talent ID by going and watching
Yeah.
watching games, and then you marry that up with their physical capacity when
Right.
you do the testing, and then you actually then overlay that with their GPS data in games to see
Yeah.
what their work rate like is in games.
Yeah. So I was reading a paper from 2017 that said that based on state level research, only 47% of athletes selected into under 18s had previously been selected into under 16s. So less than half.
Yeah.
So why do you think that's the case? Do you think it's like maybe the maturity?
Yeah, I think it's the maturity. I think at 16 years of age, you can get that kid that's actually matured really quickly.
Right.
So he's actually come through and matured quickly.
Yeah.
Then we find that as the 17-year-olds start to emerge
Yeah.
and the 18-year-olds start to mature, they start to jump up to you.
Yeah.
And you go, I think he can play also. So then
Right,
you've got to marry up
Yeah.
who's coming through versus what else you've got in the system, and that's probably the reason why.
Yeah. I think it's hard because like I remember like say when I was doing 16, you had what's his name? Giovanni.
Yeah, Johnny
Johnny Giovanni, and he's
Yeah.
massive. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, he's going to dominate, obviously,
Yeah.
at this 16. It's like, yeah, when people catch up to him, he might not. But it's like, what do? Do you not pick him? Because you're like, oh, he's not going to keep developing on that rate. But it's like, you also, I guess, you're trying to put your best players in under 16. So, yeah, what's the mindset there?
Well, my mindset is you're actually picking a team to be competitive.
Well, yeah.
So you're picking a team to go out and represent your state first and foremost.
Okay, yeah.
So you've got to give those players the best opportunity
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
push forward.
Yeah.
And then you try to work with them along the way to explain that you need to keep progressing. If
Yeah.
you stop now,
Yeah.
people are going to catch you.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's the biggest learning curve from a 16-year-old through to a 17
Yeah,
and 18-year-old
yeah.
is that people are going to catch
Catch
you.
you,
So
yeah.
you want to be in front of the curve all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, for sure. Okay, what about like deselections? Like obviously that's a whole part. Like, how do you confirm guys like aren't good enough, or like, yeah, when you're picking a certain number out of hundreds of kids or whatever?
That's always a difficult process. When we pick a 16 squad, you're probably picking 50, 55 players to come into the initial squad.
Yeah,
And then you're trimming that down to the 25 that eventually probably goes away and represents the state.
yeah,
So you're looking at over half the squad you've actually got to exit out of the program.
Yeah.
And that's always a difficult. And it's the minutest things that might be just a coach's gut feel at the time
Yeah.
that I think we should go with this particular player in front of this particular player. What I do like about it is the ones that generally miss out have got a burning desire
That
to actually
drive,
improve and
Yeah.
get better. So
Yeah.
sometimes they actually come on. They're the ones that come on as 17-year-olds and
Yeah.
18-year-olds,
They make the
and they make
yeah.
the progression in, and that's probably why you do find that there is that turnover of players.
And then, are you involved in any like talent detection or talent transfer from people from other sports?
We don't actively seek it.
Okay.
We do have a number of phone calls that come into us that we should go and have a look at certain people. Like someone like a Draper that went to Essendon a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I got a phone call that could I go out and have a look at him, have
Yeah.
a kick and a catch, and
Yeah,
we then progressed him into the South program, who then got drafted to Essendon. So, they're the ones that do come through. Most of the ones, especially in this state, have got a football background anyway.
Yeah.
They might be good soccer players, they might be
Yeah.
good basketballers.
yeah,
They're generally played junior football somewhere, so we've got a fair handle.
Yeah.
Brody Grundy probably springs to mind.
Yeah.
He definitely was a basketball background, but had played a little bit of football.
Yeah.
And then he progressed into the Sturt program and through our state 16s and into our 18s, and able to progress into the AFL, obviously.